everybody. This is Kevin Davidson, your host for Kevin's Corner, real estate from a marketing perspective, and this is episode number 83. We just got out of Snowmageddon.
Oh my gosh.
I hope everybody is okay and safe. It's still not warm yet.
Yeah.
And I'm as over the cold as anybody can be over the cold. But
did you slide down with your stuff in your garage?
No, I didn't do that. But I didn't lose any pipes, and I didn't lose any.
Well, that's good.
So, but episode number 83. I always start out the podcast by saying that if you are a real estate agent or a vendor and you operate in the Fort Bend County area and you want to be on the podcast, give me a call, 832-654-0527, or email me at kevin.davidson@stewart.com. And like always, I can't do the podcast if it wasn't for Jennifer Smitis, Caitlin Cornick, Devaney Devon, Kate Cannon, and Anna Ditmore, the escrow officers here in the Sugar Land and Richmond offices, and all of our support staff. So thank you guys. If it wasn't for you, I couldn't do this. So let's get started. Today I'm going to flip it up a little bit. I usually start with the real estate agent, but we have a first timer on as an agent on the podcast. So she's going to go in the next segment. We're going to start off with Mr. Herron Burroughs. Everybody knows who this is. If you know who I am, if you come to my events, he's usually there, or at least a large handful of them. He is with Goosehead Insurance.
Yes.
And I know before you say anything, Kevin, you don't like that. Well, he's different. So introduce yourself.
Thank you, Kevin. My name is Herron Burroughs. I'm with Goosehead Insurance. Been with Goosehead Insurance for almost 8 years now.
Wow.
So I'm definitely turning a corner in the insurance market for myself. Before that, I was a athletic director. I was a school teacher. Got fed up with the kids, like a lot of these school teachers, and wanted a different course. So I've been in insurance.
I don't think you ever told me that. You
Yeah.
were a school teacher.
Oh, yeah, man. I was in school. I was a teacher for 11 years, athletic director.
In Houston?
Mm-hmm. I was part of a charter school, Yes Prep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you also said you were a
athletic director. So I was over all the sports, the basketballs, soccer, volleyball, track. So I was attending the game, sometimes coaching, hiring and firing people, and making sure kids are passing so they can play. So
if you see this guy stand up, I wouldn't want to be fired by this guy. So, great. So tell us a little bit about Goosehead. I know that, like title companies, there are hundreds of choices for insurance, whether you be an independent agent or a rep or call somebody that represents 15,000 companies and can get you, they say, the best deal. Tell everybody about Goosehead. What's different about Goosehead?
So a little bit about Goosehead. We are an insurance brokerage. So we represent 30 plus different carriers all across the state of Texas. So if you don't like a certain type of company, we definitely can find another option for you. If your rates are not looking good, even at renewal, we can definitely reshop it and find another option or carrier. You're not stuck with whoever you started off with. So, and that's why a lot of my customers like being part of the Goosehead Insurance. They are able to find great rates outside of what they currently have, whether they're with us or not. So it definitely helps in this market, dealing with all State Farmers, State Farm. A lot of those big names are only able to give you one option. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes you're stuck with it because, that's the only thing they put on the table. With us, we can look and see what's the best option for you instead of just giving you one only option.
And what types of insurance? Is it all of the above?
Yeah, so I do everything: home, auto, life, commercial. I definitely want to make sure if you're working with me or you're part of my family, which I call my customers, you stay with me. So I don't want to just sell you a home and then you have to search somewhere else for auto. I want to be able to have that conversation about auto insurance. If you're have a job and you drive trucks or you have outside businesses, you need insurance for those properties, I can help you with that. Mm-hmm. Rental homes, anything insurance-wise, I want to be able to help you 100%.
That's cool. And just so you guys know, I'm not only his friend, I'm also a customer. of his.
Yes, he is. Yes, he
So
is.
he handles my homeowner's insurance.
And I appreciate you.
And when my auto comes up for renewal,
Yeah,
I'm
we'll
gonna
have
call you
that.
on
We'll have that discussion. Absolutely.
Exactly. So yeah, he helped me out a lot. So I got a property insurance renewal letter that was going to double my insurance rates.
Oh man.
And I called him, and the next day he called me back with a different company, but basically the same exact plan, almost at the same rate I was paying for the year I was fixing to get doubled up on.
Yeah, yeah.
So he can definitely help. Tell everybody a little bit about the state of the insurance industry right now as far as real estate goes.
That's always a hot topic to discuss, especially dealing with what's happening in California right now on the Palisades with the fires. A lot of customers are calling, asking, about rates. We always have discussions about insurance. Unfortunately, State Farm was a big insurance company out in California, and I believe the year before they started excluding or declining customers for fire insurance, and so
and look what happens.
And yeah, right. So they must have seen something that we're not seeing, or they were privy to some information that we weren't aware of. Luckily, that won't. Though what's happening in California won't affect Texas because we're in a different area. Of course, we're still a coastal state, so insurance is still high due to all of the past claims and hail and natural disasters that has happened. But on the flip side, we're starting to see rates start to decline. We're starting to see a trickle,
Really?
So we're starting to see a little bit of a decline, about 7% or so. So that's a good thing. 2025 hopefully should be the turn of insurance, we'll start seeing some decreases.
7% is huge, considering everybody's getting double and triple.
Right. So any little bit helps, especially when we start having some of those same carriers that are loosen up some restrictions. Maybe they didn't want the Brazoria market, now they do, or maybe they had higher deductibles or rates, and now they're starting to bring them back down. We might start having some other carriers that weren't in the coastal state to start coming back. So we're always in conversations with other companies to bring more options to the table for our clients.
And you and I have talked about this. Is it still true that there's a possibility that somewhere in the future we might have to buy separate roof policies?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the trend moving forward. Wind, hail claims are one of the highest. And I'm starting to see, of course, deductibles on wind have increased as well. It used to be 1%. You can get 1% wind no matter where you lived in Texas. And then it jumped up to 2%, and now it's at 3%. And I think they're going to exclude roof, hail conditions and still give you that lower rate that you're looking for. Now, it may be some type of endorsement that can be added. I don't think everybody's just not going to have roof coverage, but if you look at it, 3% of whatever your home is covered at is a whole heck of a lot of money. And I think we're going to start looking at self-insuring roof, hail damages.
So you have to. It's a separate policy.
Yeah, I think it's
like
going
flood.
to. Right, I think it's either going to be endorsed or excluded to where clients will have to take care of it themselves.
What does endorsed mean?
Endorsement means it's an added part of home insurance policy, so it's not a standard part of the home policy. It has to be added by either requesting or having a discussion about the home wind.
Kind of like when I get my homeowner's insurance and I add wind and hail.
So wind and hail is currently included, especially
okay.
if you're escrowing through your mortgage. They have to include it. So endorsements may be like on your current policy, adding a typical or type of water coverage, water backup, foundation coverage. Some of those things are endorsements. And this is just me talking. This is just between us two. I think down the line they're going to figure out a way to take the roof off of homeowners policies. Yeah.
Do you see? What about the cost So you're on the insurance side,
Mm-hmm.
which is to rebuild homes that are damaged.
Right.
What about the cost of the materials? Is that come down?
Materials are still high. Wood costs, labor, lumber, it's still high. I'm not 100% sure when that's coming down or if it has started to come down, but that is part of the reason why home insurance has increased so much. Yeah, because the cost, labor, and goods have increased. Man, COVID has really changed the market, unfortunately. So we're dealing with the new normals, and this is something we're just going to have to
Learn how to absorb
and
deal with.
It's not going anywhere.
Well, I mean, what I hope is that insurance companies somehow, some way, figure out a way to get this more manageable because their insurance companies are going to start insuring people out of their houses.
Yeah, and I have that conversation every day. You know, we have fixed income retirees who can't afford, the increase doubling their homeowner insurance. They just can't. Mm-hmm. And so now they're asking. I had a couple clients yesterday, asking about just insuring it at cash value, which I highly suggest anybody not do. Insuring your home at cash value, you don't know what that number is going to look like. Yeah. So replacement costs on everything homeowner insurance. We just have to start being a little more diligent about checking insurance, seeing what's available, but don't start skimming or increasing deductibles to 5%, things like that, because it just takes away from the home insurance coverage.
The higher your deductible, sooner or later you're paying for something that you don't need.
And that kind of goes back to the point I was making about roofs being, essentially excluded. At a 3%, 4% on a $600,000 home, that roof is not going to cost that amount.
Yeah.
So you're out of luck. Yeah, unfortunately.
You're going to have to pay the deductible. You're not going to get any help from the insurance company.
Right. So if that $18,000 we were talking about is your out-of-pocket pay, and you ask that roofer to replace your home, and let's say that roof costs $18,000 or $16,000 or even $20,000, you're paying majority of the roof. Sure, yeah. So the insurance company is going to be like, we're not going to give you anything for it because. Mm-hmm. Your deductible is not even going to cover it. So that's where we're at. When deductibles have skyrocketed. So, and that's why I believe.
Yeah, matter of fact, when you switched me, I had a policy where the homeowners and the wind and hail was in the same policy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, nothing against TWIA, but I had to go back to TWIA. Yeah.
A lot of companies or carriers that are in your area, I'm not going to say where he is, but they want the home, but they don't want the wind, and that's becoming the underlining thing.
I'm on the coast. So
so they'll take the home, but the wind has become such an issue. It's the number one claim.
The property insurance was very comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like it was nothing to say.
It's a no-brainer.
No-brainer, but the wind and the hail, oh my God.
Yeah.
Since my home is still escrowed or mortgaged,
right.
I have
it's
to
required.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So.
Yeah, and that's where the rub is, unfortunately, and the insurance carriers know that. So
So let me ask you this: people ask me all the time, can you switch insurance carriers before your current insurance policy renews?
100%.
But based on the experience we had,
right,
there could be some challenges doing that.
Yes.
But you can switch in the middle of your policy.
Absolutely. And you should definitely start shopping before you get to that end of that policy period. I usually tell clients, the insurance carrier sends out renewal information about 30 or so days before your renewal date. Yeah. So you need to be looking at least a month to 2 months before your policy is set to renew or expire, because a lot of policies are expiring as well.
Yeah, I'd make a note on the calendar on your phone or something and 60 days out.
Yeah, give yourself some grace.
Call
Yeah,
Herron and say,
yeah,
hey,
absolutely.
shop me around. And,
Yeah,
I mean, if the current policy is the best, he'll tell you. But if there's a better, like I said, I got basically the same policy.
yeah,
The rates didn't go up because I switched to a different company.
right,
I had to move to Texas windstorm insurance for the wind and hail.
right.
And you also can handle with flood, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Flood
So-
insurance is always a hot topic.
What's the biggest misconception about flood insurance?
The biggest misconception is it's already included in the homeowner's policy, and I get that all the time. And I have to explain to them, flood insurance is optional if you don't live in a mandatory flood zone, but I always recommend it. Dealing with,
So what is the city of Houston now?
oh my gosh.
100% flood zone.
I tell clients all the time, you never know where it's going to flood, where that water's going to pool,
Yeah.
what kind of conditions you're going to be in. So at least get it. If you're a new home buyer, get it for the first year. Just see how it is. See how brand new homes, brand new communities, absolutely get it for the first year. You don't know how that water's going to drain in your neighborhood. You don't know how that water's going to pool. Especially in these new land-built communities, builders are just buying up land, and they're not taking care of where the water is supposed to go now that those homes are there. So you never know how that water is going to be. So get it for the first year. If you don't want to get it for the next year, you don't have to. But I definitely recommend getting it as long as you can because, we deal with.
Well, I know flood insurance policy premiums have gone up. But
Yes.
if you're not in a flood zone and it's not required, and you own a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 house, and you're not willing to buy a $300 annual flood policy,
Yeah.
we need to have a side conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, because my house was built in '78. It never took on a drop of water until Harvey,
Right.
and I got 6 inches.
Right.
And I'm in a really old neighborhood, so most of the homes, a lot of them were paid off, and a lot of the people didn't have flood insurance.
Right.
I was one of the few that did.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was only like $325
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah. Back then it was super cheap.
On my street, I was the first one to get my house fixed
Wow.
because everybody else was waiting for FEMA, and we know how that goes.
Oh yeah, FEMA's a whole nother story.
So
FEMA's a whole nother story.
if you're going to spend the time and the money and your credit and your family's
Yep.
life history and all
Yep.
this stuff to purchase a house,
Yep.
and you're not going to insure it properly,
Take care
don't
of
buy
it.
the house.
Right.
Okay, it's just like anything else, and I'm not trying to get on a soapbox, but it's different if you're like me and you're in a flood zone and it's $1,200 a year.
Right.
I get it. If you can't afford it, you got to make some decisions.
Right.
But if you're not in a flood zone and it's only a few $100s a
Yeah.
year, do it.
Yeah.
Don't even think about it.
Yeah. And this rainy season was really bad. We started the season on alert as far as flood damage, and we ended it on alert. Flood season typically starts end of May, early June, and goes all the way to November. We were having conversations about heavy storms all the way up until November, and it's just crazy how much the climate has changed, and we have to be aware of especially living in Houston or Texas, that these rainstorms are happening a whole lot more than they used to. So I tell my new home buyers, just get it for the first year.
And if you live in Houston or DFW area, San Antonio,
Yeah.
it's flat. So there's not a whole lot of direction the water can go if
Right.
it's going to flow.
Right.
So, the improvements that the areas of town, the city and the county where you live at, the improvements they've made because of Harvey and
Right.
the other hurricanes that we've had, they're going to help, but you don't really know.
Nope.
I mean, you don't know what's going to really happen,
Nope.
where the water's going to go. So
Yeah.
you got to get flood
Yeah.
insurance.
And that's the scary part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell everybody a little bit real quick. How do they find you? How do you generate leads and get customers?
So, I'm very old school. So I like this. I like the conversations. I like to meet up with you or have you come by the office. I like going to events and having those one-on-one conversations, because that was missing, especially during COVID, post COVID, things have changed a lot. So, if you'd like to reach out to me or like to discuss insurance, you definitely can. You can call or text me. My number is 281-381-2701. If you just have questions about insurance, or if you heard something and wanted to run it by me, I have no problem having discussions about insurance. That's one of my passions. That's what I love to do. So we can talk insurance all day long.
And guys, he's not a rep. He owns his own Goosehead agency. He owns his own company.
Yep.
As long as I've known you and becoming a customer of yours, he's never pressured me to do anything.
Right.
And I've called him at times when I was not in a good mood, and he just handled it and did that. He laughed like that because the project gets that once or twice a day.
Yeah.
But it's not going to hurt you to call an impartial guy like Herron that you've never met, you don't know, and ask him his opinion about where you're at with your insurance in your life. And if it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit. He's no harm foul. But everybody that I've ever referred to him has ended up signing up with him. So give him a call. Give me your phone number one more time.
Absolutely. Herron Burroughs, 281-381-2701. We'll talk soon.
And can you help people anywhere in Texas?
Absolutely, yeah, all of Texas. So if you're in Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, wherever in Texas, I'm definitely able to assist.
And can they find you on social media?
Not really. That's something that we talked about. Yeah, we talked about that. So
I will put you on my calendar.
Yeah.
Okay, so give them their email and phone number one more time.
Email is my first last name, so it's HERRON.BURROUGHS @goosehead.com. GOOSEHEAD. Phone number, direct line, 281-381-2701.
Guys, I say this all the time. I'm going to say it again. I am not an insurance guy. I don't like insurance. He's the only insurance rep that I've ever used or agency owner that I can't complain about. I really can't. So give him a call. Okay,
Absolutely.
Guys? So we're going to be right back with segment number 2 of episode number 83 of Kevin's Corner, Real Estate from a Marketing Perspective, with Valerie Treese, an up-and-coming real estate agent that's been around for almost 10 years. Awesome. At least that's what I heard. We're fixing to confirm that. See you guys in a few minutes.
All right.
Bye-bye.